talk about what could be the most explosive issue of this campaign if the mass media would get a hold of it and do something about it, but they're covering it up. And that is you were talking about the government involvement in drugs. There have been government investigations, there have been private investigations, and we've interviewed a lot of people, ex-CIA people, who have talked about the CIA involvement in drug operations for many decades. It's public knowledge, though once again the media are not saying anything about it, that Oliver North and his people involved with the Contras have been running drug operations, cocaine primarily, bringing it back into the United States. And there are other investigations which show that George Bush's office, Donald Gregg particularly, and the people he was working with, have been supervising an enormous drug operation, which once again was sending illegal arms down to the Contras and elsewhere, and bringing cocaine and other types of drugs back into the United States. But neither the Democrats aren't talking about this. Now, are the Libertarians talking about this, and do they put this into the framework of the drug law situation that you're talking about?
We talk about a whole lot. Of course, we always have the trouble of getting the attention that we think it deserves. There have been a few Democrats have talked about it. Senator Kerry's office has done some work.
He's done a lot of the investigation.
Right, and I think he's on to something, and I think we've gotten some other information too, of course, that the CIA has given Noriega over the years $200,000 a year.
Oh, yes.
And they kept feeding him money, even when Bush was the head of the CIA. I think George Bush is deep into it, well over his head. Somebody asked me once if I thought George Bush knew about as much what was going on as Ronald Reagan. I think George Bush knew a lot more about what was happening in the CIA, because I think Reagan was probably more removed from it, I mean, just by his own personality and maybe his age or something. But I think George Bush, through his office and through the fact that he was a member of this, head of the CIA, I think he was very, very close to it. He knows exactly what was happening, and I believe the rule that once a CIA member, always a CIA member, and I think it's awful interesting. Can you imagine? It would alarm a few of us in this country if all of a sudden we knew that the leader in the Soviet Union would be the head KGB agent, and here we take our head CIA agent and put him, potentially the head of our entire country. Unfortunately, I wish that we could get this information out, and I continue to talk about it, but I sadly believe that there will be very little said, which means that the Democrats aren't doing it. That means they're involved too.
They're involved also.
And I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, it was even some of it got reported in the Iran-Contra scandals. We did know that there were drugs involved, and they were selling drugs back and forth. I think that might be the #1 reason for the drug laws. I mean, they use and play on the good people of America to support them, but I think the #1 reason is not to have high prices for some two-bit drug dealer, as much as to raise the funds necessary for governments to do illegal things, whether it's some terrorist government someplace or whether it's our own CIA to fund programs that they can't get Congress to fund. I think it's tragic, and the sooner we get rid of the drug laws, the sooner this would end.
Interesting. Ase and Htp, salam, shalom, peace, Black African power. Welcome, Black family, to another installment of the Raising Awareness Group Blog Talk. Dawa, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time listening to us, let me give you a brief synopsis of who and what we are about. We are a collective group of common goal Black people whose main direction is the homeschooling, truthful knowledge, and education of the Black family through an African-centered point of view. We affirm the teachings and writings of transition elders like Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Dr. Jolt, Empress Quest Welsing, Dr. Amos, and others. We should not allow any misinformation and propaganda from white academia to be passed along under our umbrella. We've taken the time to formulate an introduction supplement to homeschooling for the community at large. This supplement is available on our website. Please go to our YouTube channel that's named Raising Awareness Group Media. That's Raising Awareness Group Media. There you'll have access to the link to our website. Our supplement is easy to visually digest and is tailored for not only the children but also the parent. This supplement is for the entire family. It is not just predicated for one entity of the family. So please check it out at your convenience. We also recommend our methodology criteria for the adults. We at the Raising Awareness Group subscribe to the Ma'at Order. Thanks to the University of Kmt Press, we use the methodology of our ancestors. We strongly recommend all adults in the community to purchase some of the awesome literature like Study Team, Survival Organization, and What Must Be Done. Those are just a few titles in their library. We feel as though many books have been written, bought, read, but many offer little but to no principles and solutions until now. It's time that we read and understand the principal order we've been lacking. That literature is in Ma'at. We at the Raising Awareness Group and our Council of Elders strongly recommend that literature. Pick up your copy today. Now, moving forward with tonight's topic of the show, for the past few decades in our community, there's been this so-called war. This war was marked upon in June of 1971 by then-President Nixon. He declared a war on drugs. Now, this is April 2016. That's a 45-year war, and the status of this so-called war is not a winning war. This is the longest war to be known ever in the history of mankind. It is just a coincidence that the so-called war is happening right here on American soil. This war, it's something different. Instead of soldiers, there's family members being lost. Instead of solutions, we have adult babysitting going on. We'll be discussing more about this so-called war and its influence it had on our community. Let me introduce my panel for tonight's show. We have Brother Akil, Brother K-Dub, and myself, Brother Afrikan. Brothers, are you there?
Yes, Brother Afrikan, I'm here. How you doing today?
Peace, brother. Black African power.
Black African power.
Awesome. You know, I wanted to get in, really get in tune about this topic because most of the community, pretty much anyone in our family of kidnapped Africans here in America can relate to this because drugs, as if it hasn't affected us individually, it's affected a family member or very near, close, and dear friend. There's no between street drugs or whether through the doctor's office, pretty much it's going to be offered to you. And these drugs are offered to us at an adolescent age, which is even more savage. But what we have to come to understand is that it's nothing to hide. It's nothing we could sweep under the rug anymore. And this is serious. This is going on in our community for a very long time. We went through different eras of this epidemic. What I'd like to do right now is just give a brief history of the war on drugs as it constitutes from We Are Drug Policy Alliance, and I wanted to speak on it. A brief history on the war on drugs. Many currently illegal drugs, such as marijuana, opium, coca leaves, which have been used for thousands of years by most medical and spiritual purposes, and I question that a little bit. The early stages of the drug prohibition, why are some drugs legal and others are illegal today? It's not based on any scientific assessment or the relative risks of these drugs, but it has everything to do with who's associated with these drugs. And the first anti-opium laws in the 1870s were directed at the Chinese immigrants. The first anti-cocaine laws in the South in the early 1900s were directed towards black Americans. The first anti-marijuana laws in the Midwest and the Southwest in the 1910s and 20s were directed at the Mexican immigrants, migrants, and Mexican Americans. Today, Latinos, especially and the blacks in our community, are subjected to wildly disproportionate drug enforcement and sentencing practices. Now, let's get into you and I, K-Dub, we had a conversation prior to the show. We were talking about this war on drugs and the difference between crack, cocaine, and overall there's this new saying that the complexion of addiction has changed hands, which we're going to destroy. We're going to just ether that in a little bit. But let's talk about this crack cocaine. As a child growing up here in the city of Philadelphia, I grew up in the late 70s, 80s, so I know what crack was, and I've seen it firsthand. I can recall when I was a child, I actually seen what a crack baby was. I can remember a couple of my friends and I, we were walking to school one day, and, we heard a baby in a dumpster. We would come out the store, and we heard a baby, and we went back inside, and we told the store owner, hey, there's a baby in the dumpster outside on the side. So he came outside, he looked in, and, you could tell he was hysterical. He went and called the police, and he just told us to get on in and go to school. So we did, so we went late to school. So come to find out, he called the ambulance, called 911. They came, took the baby out the dumpster or whatever. But what we have to understand is that when we think of crack, we have been brainwashed to think there's a difference between crack and cocaine. There's no difference between crack and cocaine. They're just a different form of the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? It's like comparing an ice cream to a milkshake. There's no difference. You can take a scoop of ice cream and add some milk to it, put it in a blender, and you have ice cream. You have a milkshake. But the problem is that with laws and the purpose implement of crack in our community, that we've been brainwashed to think crack is something different. I want to play a clip. Brother Akil, we got that clip loaded up? Yeah, we got that clip loaded up, Brother Akil. Play it for me.
U.S. government play in bringing crack cocaine into L.A.'s poor black neighborhoods.
The government needed this money to fight the war over Nicaragua against the Sandinistas. Russia had gave the Sandinistas $100 million to fight with. Congress had cut off all the money from the Contras. So now the Sandinistas had an advantage. Reagan and Bush had made the Contras their pet peeve. They felt that if Russia took over Nicaragua, they would be too close to America. They would be in our backyard. I believe that they felt it was more valuable to sacrifice a particular sector of America and a race of people in America in order to save the whole country. So they let these guys open up pipelines. Danilo Blandon, Norman Nessus, and the rest of the crew that worked with the Nicaragua connection. Because I knew about 10 or 15 different Nicaraguans that was all inside of this, Contra organization that was selling drugs. So by them allowing these guys, or basically turning a blind eye, because I don't think the government necessarily gave them the drugs or whatnot, but in a sense they sanctioned it because they turned a blind eye. They knew that these guys were selling drugs, but they did absolutely nothing about it. I also believe that had they not let these guys sell drugs, it's possible that I would have never become a drug dealer.
What does that say about our government when they're looking the other way while a deadly substance is coming into our communities for the sake of fighting a communist regime in Central America?
Well, it says that our government will sacrifice its people to accomplish a goal. And this is not the first time that they've done that. We've known numerous times in our history where they have sacrificed, especially the black man.
In that case, it's tough to hear that the ends justify the means.
They felt that it was more valuable for them to keep Russia out of America, and for America to keep its way of life.
Do you think that the CIA or any other sort of government agency is still helping to funnel drugs into America?
Well, if we look at Afghanistan, when the Taliban controlled Afghanistan, the flow of heroin was almost zero. And now it's up, hundreds of percent more than it was at that time. So it makes you wonder. I mean, what is really going on? How can the Taliban control drugs and now America can't, control it? Heroin is on the rise again. And it's Afghanistan heroin.
The CIA connection to the Contras and the huge influx of drugs into Los Angeles wasn't made public until journalist Gary Webb started to report on it.
Gary was on a mission. He didn't approve of what I did. But he said that if I was in prison, all the other players should be in prison right there with me. And that I shouldn't be used as a scapegoat. He said...
That was our brother Freeway Ricky Ross, ex-drug kingpin out in L.A. He was just talking in the candid interview. He was kind of tap dancing around the situation, but I just wanted people to hear how the government involvement of drug sales, whether inadvertently or on purpose, they were aware of drugs being trafficked across the borders. They always have, whether they were pulling the strings or not. Ignorance is no form of excuse. I was told that a long time ago. But I want people to understand and get into this understanding about how the government is fully aware of what's going on across their borders, our borders, excuse me. Now, what I want people to understand also, when we're talking about crack and cocaine, previously I just said there's no difference between crack and cocaine, because I'm going to tell you why. There's a formula behind crack and cocaine, which is the same thing. All you have is, when it comes up the leaf of the coca leaf plant, it's basically an oil that's extracted from the leaf. They add additives on it to turn into a powdery substance, and then it's solidified or solidified into a block. As it travels over to state lines, and it gets into our community, it's repackaged and repackaged. It's essentially cocaine. It's powdered cocaine. But when you're making crack, all they're doing is boiling it down back to that oil, and they're just extracting that oil, getting all those additives and cuts and whatever, off of the original oil, and they're boiling it back down to the original oil form and adding baking soda back to it, whipping it into a rock form so it could be smoked, and it could be smoked into a gas, so it goes through your respiratory system. Whereas a powdered cocaine is generally just inhaled. But I want people to understand it's actually the crack before it's the powdered cocaine. Now the question is, well, how are our people seeming to getting charged with ridiculous amounts of crack? I just had a friend of mine. Well, he's not a friend of mine. He's a family associate. He just recently came home from doing about 25 years from drug sales. This was from the 90s. But you have to understand our people. This is where we know that our people were targeted for the crack epidemic. Now, I'm going to bring my brother Kevin Williams, my brother K-Dub on. I know he has some things to say. If you want to chime in, and listen, this is just not all about us talking. We want our people. This is your show, too. If you have an experience or you have a question about this drug, this quote-unquote war on drugs, we'd like you to offer your opinions, your thoughts, or even any incident you had with drugs with your family members, because we're going to get into that tonight. Call in numbers 323-870-4085. Just press 1. That'll put you in the box, and we'll put you right on. We got a couple lines open, and we see this caller listening in. Let me hand the floor over to my brother K-Dub. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Peace, family. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Now, as you described that, which is, that crack and cocaine is pretty much the same thing. But the question is with this war on drugs is why, even though, the black community was targeted, but, when it comes to the criminal justice system, and now we come with the, what am I looking for? We'll come with the unfair sentencing of these so-called crimes, whether it's, white people are statistically known to use more drugs, heavy drugs. They're arrested for possession, not so much sales, but they're arrested for possession, but they are not charged. Whereas, say, black people, whether in possession or just or intent to sell, either of those charges, they're hammered down with, or down here in Florida, we have what they call the 85%. sentencing, which means you got to do 85% of your time, then they'll let you out. Unless it's on a federal level, then you're stuck doing that, doing 100%. But we're just why are we why is the system really unfair to us? That's the big question.
Well, that's a good point, brother. And you brought up something about the comparison between legally whites compared to blacks. Well, number one, when you're talking about white America, they want to protect their commodity. They want to protect their own. So what happens is you have a lot of whites who are trying to get into college. You can lose your scholarship. Forget about the job. You can lose a lot of college scholarships from being caught up in a drug possession. So that's one of the pretty much main reasons why. Because I don't care what anyone says. If you go across any of these college campuses, there's going to be a white person getting high off of something. And most of the time it's going to be marijuana, what have you, cane, whatever. But they know if they charge these kids with possession or intent to distribute, manufacturing, which I never can understand, the manufacturing. That's one, and I'm going to get into that manufacturing topic. When you're talking about when we're talking about that, they don't want these kids to lose their college opportunity because you can lose your college scholarship behind a drug charge. So that's pretty much the main reason why they protect them. Where us, on the other hand, of course, they don't want us in the colleges. They don't want us in all black colleges to get an education. So that's the main reason. They secure them in education and they keep us from getting one. It's a petty tactic, but that's pretty much the long and short of it. Also, you have to understand when we're talking about addictions, we didn't have the resources of addiction, and when we're talking about the complexion of addiction has changed hands or changed. It never changed. My brother K-Dub just said it. Whites statistically have always been the predominant in drug users. Okay, but what happens is whites have not been the dominant incarcerated and death behind these addictions, overdoses. Now you have here in Philly, you could come to Philly and you'll see cops all laced up with Narcan. I'd seen one the other day where this junkie was on the train and he was passed out. He jabbed him with it and woke him back up. You didn't have that in the 80s and in the late 90s when our women were giving birth crack babies in our community. You understand what I'm saying? They weren't concerned about that. They weren't concerned about crack babies. But said white folks are having heroin and Percocet babies, Perc addict babies. Now it's a problem. Okay? That's the whole purpose behind the prison system in Pennsylvania and in other states is that they're renovating or they're adding on more beds in the prison system because they want drug addicts, specifically heroin, because majority of whites are feeling the sting of the heroin epidemic due to the fact of them removing Percocets off the pretty much. They're trying to just reduce all Percocets out of the market because most whites were jumping over the countertop, robbing the pharmacies because their addiction just were grown because of their parents. They were stealing the drugs, their parents' prescriptive drugs. So then they just started stealing them out the pharmacy. So they just found it cheaper and easier and accessible to get street dope. But a lot of them are catching cases behind it, simple possession cases. So they're babysitting their addiction. So instead of putting them in general population in jails, they're creating more so like a boot camp recovery system on the premises of the jail, but not in the general facility. So this is a way that they're pacifying and babysitting these addicts. But what have you is where we didn't have those type of resources in the late 80s and 90s. If you were it didn't matter if you were buying or selling crack, you were going to jail.
You were going to jail and you were going to get locked up and prosecuted to the full extent. And like I said, down here in Florida, we have, the 85% law, which, once they get, convicted, boom, they're done. So if they're sentenced 25 years, they're doing 20. You know what I'm saying? For possession, even for possession of a narcotic, mainly crack, cocaine, or whatever. But let me bring it back to the Richard Nixon declaring the war on drugs. As recently, I know probably some of y'all heard about a former aide of his, revealing, the reason why they had targeted black people and hippies for the war on drugs. A guy named John Eckelman, he served 18 months in his role in the Watergate scandal, if y'all remember, which caused Nixon to resign. But quote unquote, he had in an interview in 1994, they came up with a message. The Nixon administration came up with a message to disrupt the communities, those communities. He quote unquote says, "We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt both of those communities, their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the war on drugs? Well, of course we did. Ain't that something?" John Eckelman, he died in 1999, so it's pretty much a duppy talking, revealing something that we all knew about, but recently has been confirmed. Ain't that something?
Wow, that's wow. So it's basically the political criminals still get to pass, even though they get convicted of the crime. We're the Raising Awareness group. We're talking about the war on drugs. We like to open up the floor discussion. We like everyone to get involved. People are listening. If you have if you had issue with family members on drugs or dealing with drugs, let's talk about it. We'll put you on the floor. The caller number is 323-870-4085. Just press 1 and we'll put you right on. We got some open lines. I see a lot of people are listening in too. Then thank you everyone who did tune in tonight. But you know what? I really wanted to touch on a topic because the key thing is about our women. And that disturbs me a lot because when I see, drug addicted women, and it almost seems like when we're talking about like rap music, things that I see, everything is about getting a woman high. Like you even heard Ross, a rapper, made a song, basically commenting that, basically saying getting a woman high and having sex with her. But, and everything nowadays is kind of geared about getting high, whether it's an alcohol-based high or just basically some type of narcotic high. But, a lot of women, especially our women, are finding that, from what I found out and I read in the article, I'm going to read it to you about the women and gender and the war on drugs. 2/3 of women doing time in federal prisons behind bars for nonviolent drug offenses, or the vast majority of them, have children that they can't even see. That's not family values. The perceived largest of drug law enforcement are men, but many of the victims are women. Women, are particularly women of color, are disproportionately affected by social stigma. By the laws that punish those unable and unwilling to inform others, by regulations that bar people of drug convictions from obtaining which require drug tests to receive public assistance, and by drug treatment systems designed for men. Largely as a result of draconian drug laws, women are now a fast-growing segment of the U.S. prison population. More than 3/4 of women behind bars are mothers. Many of them are sole caregivers. Now, conspiracy offenses represent most of the egregious examples of the drug wars and inequitable treatment of women. Conspiracy laws were designed to target members of illicit drug organizations. They have swept up many women for being guilty of nothing more than living with a husband or boyfriend involved in some of these levels of drug sales. Harsh mandatory minimum sentences may keep them behind bars for 20 to 30 years, if not even life. But I just wanted to bring that point. This is according to Drug Policies of Alliances. And I just wanted people to make an understanding about this. A lot of black women are getting caught up behind drugs. And I would hope, I know a lot of women, when you're a drug dealer, a lot of brothers out there have sold drugs and we deal with women, but, you can bring a woman down with you. And a lot of women are getting brought down with these brothers who are selling drugs in the house with the kids. And we're going to have to start making better decisions. It's just fast money with no plan behind it. A lot of the lower-level drug dealers are getting locked up, and the majority of them are brothers. But we're going to have to do something about this because there's going to have to be a solution behind this. to keep these sisters away from brothers that are selling these drugs in the streets, because they just tear them down too. And that ain't no way to be raising no baby behind bars. That ain't going to work. It never have, it never will. So I just wanted to point that out about to you sisters who are tuning in and listening. They don't care. You can make up every excuse in the world. They locking you up too, you know. So just be warned and just know that it's just there's no exclusive title to this. When they come, they're going to lock everybody up. They're going to lock your boyfriend up, your husband. They don't care if you're keeping the drugs. If it wasn't in your room, it was in the other room, it was in the backyard. You could play dumb, blind, deaf, and dumb all you want. They don't care. All right? So you just read that. 2/3 of federal inmates who are nonviolent criminal drug offenses are women of color. That's a lot. That's like saying basically 6 to 7 out of every woman in the federal penitentiaries are black women. That's an astounding number, and that's just something to put in your mind. And I just wanted to put that out there. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's very alarming, and with that being said, I mean, when they do that, it goes back to what I just said or read about with the Nixon date. It's disrupting families. It's disrupting the families because the mother. I mean, if the man goes down, of course we know the mother's next to step up to take care of the kids, the children. But when you take away the mother, and especially if the man's already gone, now you got these kids left fending to either left with other family members who already have children of their own and they're already tied up, or they get put in the system already. Some of these are in foster homes and all the good stuff. And then with them not having their parents around, you got these kids who are gonna grow up what do you call it, mad at the world, man. You know what I'm saying? And then boom, they're mad at the world, and then now they have a higher chance of falling into the same trap. So it's a recycled trend, man. You know what I'm saying? It starts with the parents, boom, they get locked up. Kids grow up, they see that other kids may have their 2-parent household or at least one parent household, and they feel them as kids. Those kids are happy. They're not happy. So then they act out. When they act out, of course, when the kids get in fights, then it goes from fights to committing crimes. You know what I'm saying? And from committing little petty crimes, then they selling dope, and then boom, the trend starts again, and then they have children of their own eventually, and it just repeats itself, man. So it's very alarming, dude. And the war on drugs, supposedly, like you said, they may have inadvertently probably wanted to actually stop drugs, but all it really did was just really destroy communities, man. And me and you and a lot of people, we've seen it firsthand in our communities what it has done to us, and a lot of things that it's a domino effect. Check this, man. I mean, some of these these war on drugs things that affect our communities. It does a lot of more things than just incarceration. It creates more poverty, man. Like in some cases, I could give you examples down here in Miami, probably up there in Philly too. A lot of older black families, they'll have like houses that they built and bought, that's in their name or whatever. Those old people die out. You feel me? So they leave the house to the children. 80s, man, the crack epidemic, the drug epidemic, came around, man, and whatever. Some of their kids were addicts, and guess what, man? They didn't keep up with the house. So guess what? After a couple of years, they don't pay no property taxes. They lose the house. You understand? You know what I'm saying? So that kind of caused a little gentrification in a sense too, because a lot of the children that was left to, houses were left to, they just didn't give a fuck because they wanted to get high. They just wanted to get high. And,
you know what, brother? That's a textbook. What you just brought up was basically the blueprint to what happened to the second gen of the black community in the 90s. You basically, most of the store owners, their children didn't take. That literally is what happened. The store owners, the business owners, literally didn't have their children or next of kin to take over the family business because of one or two reasons. They worked hard, blacks bent over backwards, working, standing on their feet for 12 to 16 hours a day, working in their corner stores, convenience stores, laundromats, or whatever. And they bent over backwards to make sure the kids were living comfortable so they could pay for them to go to college, because most of those blacks didn't go to college. For the blacks that didn't go to college, they went out and worked and they saved their money to become a business owner. But they wanted their children to go to college, so they worked hard and saved their money and started a business and put their kids in college, and the college kids just didn't want to own a business. They actually shunned that. And then the second part of that is you had some of them just started smoking drugs. They started the effects of smoking weed and taking pills and drinking alcohol, and it went from smoking to snorting to smoking to shooting. And that's pretty much the long and short of how that went. And that's a good point, brother, of what you just brought up. That happens in the second gen of our community. Let me just play a commercial so everybody, public service announcement for everybody.
This is Brother K-Dub, and you're listening to the Raising Awareness Group Blog Talk Radio Show. Tune in each and every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. with your hosts, Afrikaners, Akil, and myself. Peace, family.
Awesome.
We're at a Raising Awareness Group, and tonight we're discussing, the war on drugs in the black communities. If you want to speak with us tonight and chime in, give us a call. We're at area code 323-870-4085. Press 1, put you in the box, and we will, let you chime in. Let's take a call, Afrikaners. I see we have one caller wants to chime in. Area code 330. You're live with the Raising Awareness Group.
This is Brother Fred, Htp. How's everything going?
Black African Power, Brother Fred. How you doing tonight?
Good. Black African Power. I was listening to the talk. Now, of course, I talked about being in the media and how things are kind of used to really hide other things, to misconstrue the truth. Now, when I see the war on drugs is to cover up for the bigger problem. If we as a people didn't have a problem, drugs would not be an issue. Now, with America, they want to be the greatest country in the world. They want to try to make it as if there are not any problems going on. Oh, there's no race problem. There's no slavery. They always trying to erase stuff, rewrite history like everything is perfect. Now, when that war on drugs kicked in, it was starting to hit international media. Hey, America got a big problem. So when I see the war on drugs, I see a war on trying to maintain America's quote unquote image. We got a war on drugs. We're gonna try to hide this problem by putting those with the real problems in jail, breaking them up, trying to hide it. Reason why I say that, because right now this heroin epidemic that's starting to hit, it's not about the heroin. It's the fact that they're realizing, all right, this problem that we're trying to ignore is bigger than what we think. And that's one thing that white people do. They don't want to show that they have a problem. Now, you got America saying that, okay, heroin, white people are dying, white people doing this. There's a big problem. Now it's starting to hit the media. Because, when black people, we out in the news, we out and doing something, we always want to jump in front of the camera. That's why you see most of us on the bad stories on TV or being interviewed with a bad situation going on. Some of the white people tend to buckle and hide away from that. But now, their problems are starting to surface. This is why this heroin epidemic is kicking in. There's a real problem. It wasn't a problem with us because they don't see us as human. We don't mean anything. Now their own are suffering. It's a big problem. And it's all about trying to hide the truth. I just wanted to add that in there.
You know what, Brother Fred? You brought up a good point because a couple of weeks ago, and this kind of what inspired me to present to the Blog Talk team to have a discussion about this war on drugs, is that Philadelphia had a documentary about the war on drugs, and they basically interviewed a couple of heroin addicts right in the Kensington section. It's like the
it's like the western part of North Philadelphia. It's where they, and the funny part is, I'm going to tell you where exactly Kensington is. If you're familiar with the Rocky series, this is where they filmed the Rocky, where you see him running under the bridge, the bar where him and Paulie used to hang at. That area is the most drug-infested area of Philadelphia. It has been that way for decades. It's been a crack, heroin, white woman prostitution area for decades. Right where he filmed that, right where he filmed Rocky at. And a lot of people that's the part that they don't want to tell you about it, but I'm telling you. It's the Kensington, Frankford, Fishtown section of Philadelphia. That town was pretty much majority white, Irish, Polish area. Port Richmond section that's pretty much dominated that. And basically they pulled two junkies to the side and followed them on their daily break. And these two white boys basically said, look, I get up and go to bed thinking about getting high. I got to get up. He said, I get high about 3 times a day. He shoots about 3 bags of dope per time. And but when I got from the documentary, like you said, they're covering up a bigger problem. That, like you said, they're turning in the addiction of the white man into a feel sorry for me campaign. You notice an addiction is now considered a disease. An addiction never was labeled no disease in 1980. I'm going to tell you that right now. You could go back and track facts. In 1980, an addiction was never considered a disease. It didn't get considered a disease until white folks started dropping dead off and shooting dope. Now it's all of a sudden it's a disease. It's a physical and mental illness. And they're getting away. They're getting away with not going to jail off of their disease.
Yeah, they go to rehab. Club med rehabs. What do you call it? Like what do you call them? Like a round table panel discussion where they tell their life stories about of their addictions and what they did. Like I mentioned, they steal their mom's money out their mom's pocketbook, or steal jewelry, go to the pawn shop, or even worse, prostitute themselves, male and female. You know what I'm saying? Just to get high. You know what I'm saying? They, like you said, it turns into a feel sorry story, and and now it's classified as an addiction, which is crack. I mean, but like you said, in 1980, an addiction to drugs was pretty much criminal. Well, it was criminal, and it still is, but now it's softened up, like as Brother Fred said, to cover up the bigger problem that it is. But at the same time, go ahead, brother.
I talk about it. Not to call this group out. Now they had a good cause, fighting drugs, fighting police brutality, trying to get people off drugs. This is a black-oriented group. They were going around picketing, having protests, playing themselves downtown, the whole nine. Now, another group in a white part of town, same name, but will tell you that they have a different mission, but it's the same name. They talk about the same issue. Police brutality, drugs, people dying, same issue, same name. But guess who got put in the paper?
Let me guess. The white organization?
The white organization. Not the black ones, because now they look at the black ones as mad and protesting, and they're on the verge of watching them thinking they're going to blow up. But this other group, different logo, same name, on the other side of town, is flowers everywhere, it's parades everywhere. They get on the front page of the news, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'll tell you personally, I wanted to do a short documentary on the heroin epidemic. It's in the paper. But when I made the phone calls to the coroner to go highlight that, because when you say heroin, you're primarily talking about them. I made that phone call. I was given like 10 people. No one would call me back because I was willing to go to the morgue to make it all graphic, give stats and everything, but no one wanted me to document that via video.
Wow.
That's how powerful this thing is. That's how they try to hide it. That's why I always tell people, when you want to see the news on the stuff about them in this country, go watch an international news organization like BBC, Reuters, because the Europeans over there love to tell the truth or not so good perspective about the Europeans over here. Do your research, you will get the truth or greater details about the drug epidemic over here. They'll tell you the story about the suffering of African Americans and all this other stuff. That's where you get your good news at, or the more detailed news, because they're always trying to change the picture on something. So this drug thing is way bigger than what we're talking about.
You ain't lying. I mean, I could even bring up another thing about this drug thing we have here in Miami. We have I'm gonna bring up two different festivals. We have a festival down here which is called Ultra Music Fest, which gears towards the white electronic, dance music crowd, and with that crowd, they do all types of those I guess designer drugs, Molly's and all that fucking ecstasy and all that craziness. And when they come into town, they act a fool. People passing out all over the place and et cetera, et cetera. Then you have Memorial Day weekend down here in South Beach, and they paint and of course the crowd is majority black people from all over the world. I'm gonna just say come here, for Memorial Day weekend, and the media down here, portrays the black urban beach weekend, as they like to dub it, as unruly black folks who smoke weed in public, and are very unruly and violent in their shootouts, which is further from the truth. I mean, you have a couple of knuckleheads. You had one shootout one year where the cops actually shot an unarmed dude driving a car like 116 times. This is back in 2011. Where it says, Ultra, with all this stuff going on, you got people who are dying and overdosing over these drugs. They're dying. And they're dying. There's rape being done, whatever going on, because, people are high and then whatever, they take advantage of the drunk girl or whatever, or not drunk girl, excuse me, the intoxicated girl and all that good stuff, and it doesn't make the news. How we find out about that is people, people talking about it who are there. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm just trying to, like you said, they put the war on drugs and they try to make, everything, it's all black people. Black people are the problem of the country. Black people are the drug addicts. Oh, white people, no, they're just party users. They just had fun. They got white boy wasted. Okay, that's
right.
All right. We're the Raising Awareness group. We're talking about the war on drugs. We'd like everyone to chime in with us. If you had a situation or a family member or just a personal situation about drug abuse, drug use, and talking about it in the community, just press 1, chime in with us. We'll put you right on. You know what, Brother Fred, we'll keep you on. We're going to keep you on the line. We'll keep your mic unmuted. Go ahead, brother. Say that.
All right, okay, we're going to take another caller here. Area code 267. You're live.
Hotep. Brother Kufu, Kaku, Mr. Hotep. Hotep, brother. What's going on, family? Hotep. I was sitting back listening to the show, and Fred made some good points. And I want to touch base on some of the points that he made. well, I want to add to some of the points that he made. He mentioned heroin. Heroin is fading out in the white community. The new drug that's into the white community is crystal meth. The crystal meth epidemic in white suburban neighborhoods is hysterical, but they keep a good job of keeping it under the wraps because the kids that are taking these drugs, their parents are lawyers, their parents are doctors, their parents got money, so they don't want this information out there, so they keep it away from the media. It's hard to get news reports from, these all-white suburban communities because they don't, like Fred said, they're not going to allow the media to come in there and expose this stuff. But, where they're cooking up these drugs, like crystal meth, they're cooking them up in the middle, suburban, all-white neighborhoods and stuff like that. It's so many lists of drugs. I mentioned ecstasy, and you got what's the drug, new drug now, Molly.
they huff, and all types of other crazy synthetic drugs that, white people are using. But yet, even if you look at music and media, right, and you look at how white people use drugs, they make it seem like it's a fun thing. Oh man, yeah, man, Johnny snorted the line and stuff, man. We having a good time, But when you look at black people who do drugs, it's condemned. It's like, oh man, he's a crackhead, man. That dude's like a zombie. He should be killed, along those lines. You see what I'm saying? So, Brother Fred touched on some very good things. They're not going to allow the media to come in there and report on those issues, but they're there. The statistics are there.
You know what, brother?
And like you said,
brother, let me say something real quick. I just the other day was downtown, and I happened to notice they had a meth lab, a meth van, giving out free pops of methadone for addicts. It was a little meetup. And I was like, what's going on here? I saw all these white people standing on the corner. I said, what they doing standing on the corner? They was waiting for the meth van to pull up and give them their daily dose of methadone.
Exactly.
To keep them from going off.
There's a methadone clinic, I believe, in Philadelphia on Market Street, somewhere around either 10th Street, either 10th or 11th Street, somewhere around there. And you go out there about 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning, they lined up there. And you see nothing but white people, and that's funny, And they lined up to get their, their methadone medicine or whatever, So, yeah, man, this is not just a issue in the black community. This is a countrywide issue. The only thing is, they just want to put the spotlight onto the black communities and perpetuate it like we're the biggest drug users in the country. If our population was 12% in the United States, and the United States is the biggest drug abusers in the entire planet, so that means that you have a large percentage of white people doing drugs in this country. It's simple math.
53 million people, 53 million that we make up in this country we cannot be the main ones being the major drug consumers in this country when we're talking about the estimate of almost 400 million in the country. Our little 53 million ain't putting a dent into that, okay?
Exactly. And all black people aren't drug abusers. So if you got 12%, that percentage is even lower. But once again, like Fred said, the spotlight is on into the black community, but they won't allow media to go up into the white communities and perpetuate that stuff. And it's been like a few, you might catch like a few documentaries on this stuff, but you're not going to see it out there like that. You have to go searching for it. You're not just going to they're not going to readily, put it out there, But there's a few documentaries and stuff like that where you got, the crystal meth epidemic and stuff in white suburban neighborhoods, and and the parents are like, oh, I don't know why little Johnny is doing this stuff, So yeah, I just wanted to add it on to that, But great show, and once again, it's a very good subject, and that we need to shed light back on, because this stuff is really affecting our communities. And, we got to begin to take steps to try to rectify it. Hey,
brother, Hey, brother, you love for you to chime in with us, man. Appreciate your call, man. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
We're going to put you back on hold, brother. Love you to death, man. You know what? I wanted to tell people something real quick. And, we're going to get to some callers. We see some blue lights came on. 646, we're going to get to you next. But I just wanted to say something. What motivated me, growing up in Philadelphia, heavily crack oriented area, crack was huge here in Philadelphia, especially late 80s. I mean, you literally could have been walking the streets and seen different colored crack caps, red, green, yellow, blue, that was huge here in Philadelphia. Now you see needles, gladly you don't see it in the black neighborhoods, but you will see it in the white neighborhoods. The white parts of Philadelphia, you see literally, where I mentioned, where they filmed Rocky at. But, one thing that kept me scared straight was when you saw a crackhead, and I want people to understand when you see a crackhead, undesirable, I'm talking about a filthy, pooky-looking crackhead off of, New Jack City, that scared me to death. When you used to see, like when you used to come out and see somebody when I was with my mom, and I'll be like, what's Mr. So-and-so, the guys that were coming around the neighborhood want to clean up the trash or clean your lawn up. Don't want to be like Mr. So-and-so when you get older. He crazy. But, crazy meant he did drugs. That was the code word. Crazy meant Mr. So-and-so was a drug and he smoked crack. Why he looked the way he do. That's why his sneakers and his shoes and his clothes, the way he smelled, his hair, everything about him, that's why he looked like that. He ain't got no car. He ain't got no money. His parents don't want him, and they threw him out. And that's something I want to bring up. That scared me from doing drugs. I said, I don't want to be like, I don't want to be like Crackhead Willie. I don't want to be like Bobo. I don't want to be like Juju. I don't want to be like Pookie from New Jack City. Because that mere image of seeing him like, damn, in my mind as a child, I'm in my late 30s now, but in my mind as a child, single digits, 8, 9, 10, 11, I just started thinking like, oh, well, if all I got to do is stay away from that stuff, then I won't end up like him. I won't be a degenerate lowlife, because I've seen people who I grew up with who were fine athletes, but they started messing with them drugs, and their parents started throwing them out, treating them like, just treating them like scumbags. And that's something, the difference with the black community than the white community. The black community, we tend to did that. We threw out Uncle So-and-so because he was getting high. He stole your mama's gold jewelry box or took her money out the envelope for church on Sunday and went and got high. Well, you threw him out. Folks not doing that to their children. That's the difference. White folks not throwing their children out. And I want people to understand that. We got to fix this problem together. We got to make a solution. We can't keep throwing our family members out in the street in the cold right there because let me tell you something, especially when it comes to our woman has the greatest asset in the world. And when she wants to get high, she got the money maker to do it. Okay? Yep. And that became a problem. And I just wanted to put that out there. Go ahead, Brother K-Dub.
I was just saying, yeah, man, we can't be doing that, man. That's what I wanted to touch on. We need to, just like how, we see our family member fucking up, smoking crack, shooting up, whatever, robbing family members to get high, they need help, man. Come on, man. You're straight up. They need help. So we shouldn't be throwing them out so they can continue to do that. You feel me? We should be working on it, getting them clean and stuff like that. And most of the time when they're doing this, it's because they don't have no type of opportunity for them going on. You know what I'm saying? Some of them, most of the time, most crackheads in my area, and I'm pretty sure it's in every hood in the nation, a lot of people turn to crack because they became unemployed all of a sudden. You feel me? And then first it was alcohol to cope. Then that didn't work. Then whatever. Eventually they got to crack or heroin. You feel me? And they just that was their cope mechanism. Then they needed it. So they did whatever they had to do to get that. You know what I'm saying? And then of course whatever we catch them, we throw them out. We scold them. We publicly shame them in the hood, throw them out. And then like you said, the female, she's got the money maker to do what she got to do to get high. And then unfortunately, some males, they go around and then they go to more hardcore crimes to get their high, man. They somehow they obtain a gun. I don't know how, but maybe they stole it, and then they go around and rob. Then they go around robbing and some unfortunate cases killing to get the high. And then guess what? Then that contributes to the mass incarceration. And then as we go into the 90s, we have this woman who's running for president. Whose husband signed into the law. I mean, he came up with the bill, but Congress signed it. So all of them, everybody who was in the Congress in the 90s, signed it. The mass incarceration bill that decimated. It was already crippled in the 80s. We were already crippled in the 80s, but in the 90s, it got decimated with the war on drugs and the mass incarceration.
And just to add in, don't forget Bernie Sanders signed that same bill too. So a lot of people don't remember that, but
yeah, people don't remember that. He got called out for that.
Go ahead, Brother Fred.
I listened to Bernie. and he gave his reasoning behind it. It's neither good, well, it's not good at all. It's the lesser of two evils. Now, he said, and they showed a clip, when you pass a bill, he said that there was a lot of bad things and there was a lot of good things. He would looked at the good things in this bill, which is why he signed it. But it still doesn't make any sense. You think that the good things are going to outshine the bad things in that same bill? If you sign it and you mixing good with bad, what do you have? Nonsense. Nonsense. You can say, hey, I voted for the good stuff in this bill. I didn't want the bad stuff. No, you don't do that. You don't vote on it at all. You don't vote on it at all. If you want to focus on the good stuff in the bill, pull that good stuff out, make it a separate bill. So it was just all nonsense. But I'm gonna add another aspect. I'm gonna add another aspect to drug use. Now I played a little high school ball and college ball. Had a taste of professional ball. Now here's a story. Athlete. Let's say as soon as he comes out the womb, Mama put him on the football field because Dad ain't around. Mama put him on the basketball court. Dad ain't around. And through all the years, Mama's working 2 jobs. Keep food on the table, what have you. This kid, the only thing he knows and loves or that nurtures him is that football field or that basketball court. He's not getting that loving from his mother, and Dad ain't around. But all he knows is sports, sports, and sports. Middle school, high school. Now, along the way, he's accumulating problems, mental problems, emotional problems, whatever. But he is burying that in sports, contact sports, physical, the crowd. Now, when you're in athletics, being in front of that crowd is a drug itself.
Yes, it is.
You get addicted to that. Now, when some of these high school athletes, they got these big dreams because the neighborhood, the mother, whoever, is pumping their heads up. You're going to make it rich. You're going to make it to the big league. So you're starting to fall into this dilemma of trying to achieve this greatness that people are putting into you. Not looking at the numbers of those who actually make it to the pros. So imagine that kid with all these dreams, and all he knows is sports, graduating. No love, no mothering, whatever, just sports. Didn't make it to the pros. The addiction to the crowd is gone. No skills, no nothing. But all he can do is run and jump and hit somebody. What is that athlete going to do? Nobody talks about it.
He's going to find something to fulfill that void.
That void. Even when the guys who retire from the NFL, people don't tell you that the average career in the NFL is 4 to 5 years. When they get through, next thing you know, you watching a headline going across the news. So-and-so to play for the Miami Dolphins or whatever NFL team going to jail for cocaine trafficking.
Travis Henry.
Yeah, big drug dealer. Played Tennessee.
Hold on, let's take a caller. Let's take a caller. Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, we got you. Yeah, it's area code 646. You're live with the Raising Awareness Group.
Hey, 646 here, Donald Imhotep from Illinois.
Black African Power, Elder.
Black African Power.
Black African Power. Great show, great topic, really relevant. Glad to be a part of. I was thinking, just like religion, the reason for the infiltration of drugs was to make black people more docile and feel ashamed of themselves. Because they knew that oppressed people would opt for changing their perception of reality rather than deal with the seemingly unsurmountable, task of dealing with it, free from any mood or mind-altering substances. I liken it to the concept of original sin. When we feel responsible for our own situation, we were taught that. And, it's like I'm not discounting personal responsibility, because you're listening to someone who has a history of using drugs. You name it, I've done it. I stopped using drugs when I was 40 years old. And I'm 63 years old now. Do the math. I've been clean for 23 years. So I know a little bit about dealing with my perceptions rather than to deal with reality. And I consider it my responsibility today to go around and mentor and to help particularly young people, with the benefit of my experience. Me being a part of a fellowship, an anonymous fellowship, I have experience with going around to hospitals and institutions and sharing, my story, So, I'm not falling for the big lie, and I'm not discounting personal responsibility, because I know when that spider invited me into its web, that I unknowingly got caught up in its, agenda. But when I found out, just how empowered I was, and I am, I was able to break free. So this whole misnomer or war on drugs, what do they mean? That's a part of their agenda,
Mm-hmm.
of the dominant society, and to go on at war with drugs would mean to go at war on themselves. Not going to happen. It's profitable.
Good point.
Too
profitable at both ends. It's too profitable.
That's suicide. It's societal suicide. How are you gonna give up the option of free labor, in the form of prison populations? How are you gonna do that? Time when black labor is a burden on society. We gotta see our ways out of this. We gotta understand and be brought back to our original state of mind and being, our African spirituality, and to see what has happened to us, And until then, we're just going to be, like I mentioned, pawns in this religious mind game, to perpetuate the dominant society's agenda. So that's all I had to add. I'm going to listen in, and because I know it's other people ready to chime in. And I got some things going on around me anyway. You have to put me on mute, and I have to get back to them while I listen in. But great show, guys. I will continue to listen in and contribute in any way that I can. Okay.
Oh man, hey, most appreciated, Elder.
Thank you.
Hotep Elder. That's one of the elders of the Council of Elders we have here at the Raising Awareness Group. Baba Dano Hotep. Thank you for chiming in. Also, just wanted to let everybody know, next week's show, we're going to be doing a follow-up to Flint. We're going to have on our Sister Jasmine and Sister Asia back on. Definitely with the situation in Houston going on, I definitely want to shout out to our people in Houston. Any of our brothers and sisters that's listening in or in Houston, we definitely want to reach out. But we're definitely going to do a follow-up to Flint show next Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, same time, on our Blog Talk Team show with our Sister Jasmine and Sister Asia. I just wanted to put that out there for everyone who's listening in. Again, if you're listening in, press 1. We'll chime in with us. We'll put you right on if you want to talk to us. We're talking about the war on drugs in our community. But you know what? Just like the elder brought up, it would be
catastrophic, actually, for our country to really have a serious, quote-unquote, war against drugs and in the drug trade, because the monies that the business that it's facilitating, I mean, it's a machine. Me personally, I don't think the machine's going to stop, because both avenues, you're making money off the top bringing drugs in. You're making money somehow getting drug dealers to sell drugs in the communities. It's fueling violence, gun and drug violence in the community. It's filling the prison systems up profusely.
It's filling up the morals.
We're filling up the morals. I just feel as though it's a machine. It's on automatic. I just feel that way, and it would actually probably put a dent in our economy. It's just what it is.
That's
slave
true.
economy, as documented in African time, the entire Western civilization of economics was based on slave owning. You know, today was the social media airwaves today was pitting Sister Harriet Tubman, Empress Harriet Tubman, on the $20 bill. People were going off. They're going off because they're taking the slave owner off and putting a slave savior on. That was a savior to us, Harriet Tubman. Empress Tubman was our savior, not Jesus, not any of these white gods that's going to fall out of the sky that we keep praying to. I'm talking about.
Let me add to that real quick. I don't know if you heard. Did you hear about the follow up on that story?
What was it about that? Because they were trying to give what's his name the praise about him being the one that balanced out the first economics and our not having a debt. He was the last person, in office to keep us from having debt, so they should keep him on there. Or are you talking about Ben Carson with his coonery?
No, it's a website. There was an announcement that came out. They're going to have her on one side of the bill, but leave Andrew Jackson on quote unquote the back side of the bill.
Interesting.
There's going to be two faces. There's going to be two faces on that $20 bill.
Oh, so slave owner and slave savior. Wow, that's going to really work.
Interesting.
Wow, that's really going to work.
And then I heard something about on other bills they're going to put somehow they're going to put Dr. King and other ones on there, and they'll monuments too in D.C. So we'll see about that. But now, wow, that's interesting. Putting her on the front and Andrew Jackson on the back. You keep like Brother King just said, the slave owner and the slave savior.
I really love social media. I really love social media. How these white people and their privileges shows when they, something like this happens. Oh, Harriet Tubman is going to be put on the $20 bill, which is going to take place in like another let's say another 10, 12 years. But they're just like, oh, blah 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 blah. All they do is freaking complain. Fuck them. So, I'm sorry, man. I don't care about your crocodile tears, man. Like, I mean, really. you really want to keep honoring slave owners. I mean, a slave owner. Then on top of that, Jackson. I mean, let's just take it to another aspect of it. Jackson was not even a popular president, dude. Only thing is, like you said, he so-called saved the economics. But other than that, man, dude was enemies with, I'm gonna say, every race in the country. He was beefing with the white people. Well, of course, he killed off the natives. he had a big hand in that. Killed them off, and then of course he went to war with us, with them little wars that he had. So it's a mixed feelings things. Me, I honestly, I mean, yeah, it's good, that she's honored to be put on a $20 bill. But then again, look at it like this, man. The note that she's being put on, our ancestors made those notes. We had no payments into that. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I have a little mixed feelings about it, but it is what it is.
So you got to look at a bigger picture too. Well, going back to the drug thing, when I look at it, if you go back to slavery, especially in this country, you had primary crops, and you had elements that not only they stole slaves and brought over, they traded for them too. Mm-hmm. This country was founded on alcohol and drugs.
Mm-hmm.
One of the major crops was, correct me if I'm wrong, tobacco. That was one of the major crops in slavery. They always talked about cotton. Tobacco was up there too, and alcohol.
Believe it or not,
If you
and
look at
hemp.
the word,
If you read, if you take a look
hemp.
at African Time, if you take a look at African Time Volume 1 from University of Kmt Press, it gets in great detail about that, and he is correct. Brother Fred is absolutely correct about the tobacco. Extracting tobacco and using that, everything wasn't money. Paper money was actually one of the lesser uses of funds and payments for economics at that time. Tobacco, and then once his name started the sugar, he basically started sugar farms off the breaking back.
Sugar and salt.
The back-breaking work of African slavery. Before manual slavery transformed into mechanical slavery, sugar, tobacco, gold, brass, silver were pretty much majority of, and land was pretty much economics here in the country, and of course slave commodity. But he's absolutely right about the tobacco. So you have to understand, right now, these drugs are a commodity. This is economics to this country. I cannot see them actually taking drugs out of this country because of the economics. Even the pharmaceutical companies with their synthetic heroin. The synthetic heroin game is ridiculously huge. I can't imagine them taking a real stance against it. They're not going to take a stance at their own economics. It won't happen. It's like taking GMO. It's like telling McDonald's and all them to use better quality beef, and stop using fructose syrup and things of that nature. It just won't happen. They will kill their own economics.
But then
now I was reading this book. Go
ahead. Oh no, I was just saying now. Go ahead.
This book I read before is about Dr. Barasango. Is about African people and European holidays, a mental genocide. If you look up the term crackers, we see it. The typical black person may see it as that white Southern person cracking a whip on a slave. That term did not originate like that. The term crackers were the scum or the white trash in Britain. When they was trying to populate the Americas, they brought a ton of those, the hoes, the pimps, the people in jail, the outcasts of that country. Say, hey, we're gonna get the vile or the vile out of here, and we're gonna populate those people in Virginia. These people on drugs.
They
were on drugs. This country, yeah.
Well, also, Brother Fred, Columbus, those were his shipmates also. So it wasn't hard for those whites to do such gutless acts of kidnapping Africans and bringing them over here. His shipmates were literally criminals. They were to the T. They were jail inmates who basically, the first work release, as noted in African Time Volume 1, the first work release system was through Christopher Columbus. Basically, they got pardons from the king and queen, Ferdinand and Isabella, to go be shipmates with Columbus on these campaigns to the west coast of Africa. So it wasn't hard for these gutless lowlives to do what they did. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct with that, with your statement. Go ahead, continue, Roland.
Now, I'm going to read this quick paragraph out of the book. And it says, the American, a nationality of Chief Justice Stokes of the colony of Georgia, wrote, the southern colonies are overrun with a swarm of men from the eastern parts of Virginia and North Carolina, distinguished by the name crackers. Many of these people are descended from convicts that were transported from Britain to Virginia at different times and inherited so much violence from their ancestors that they are the most abandoned set of men on earth. Those are the people this country was founded on. So when you take that and look at how this country is ran with the drugs or whatever, this is the nature of the country. But then to say, oh, we're going to fight the war on drugs, fight themselves, like the elder said a few minutes ago. It's ridiculous. So when I see the war on drugs, like, okay, who you having a war on? You having a war on us. But it's backfiring on them because the war they created in us is backfiring on themselves. But I like that. I like that at this point, like here in this town I live in now. The one thing that the black community doesn't have, and I to stress this so much, is communication. Communication meaning information. Now, there are a lot of services available to people that we could use, but we just don't know about them, and we don't search for them. Why don't we search for them? Because back in slave time, we were told not to read. That is carried over from generation to generation to generation. And when you talk about, let's say you see somebody in your family with a drug problem, you see it, but sometimes we ignore it. There are so many services to use, we just don't search it out. That's what we have to start doing. This is why some of the whites don't go straight to jail, because they find these services. That's what we got to start doing. This is why
they have the right
resources.
proper resources.
They got the information. We don't. Like that old saying, how do you, my godmother used to say this, if you don't want a black person to know something, put it in the book. We got to search it out. It's out there for us to use, but we got to search it out and provide it to the community.
Indeed, brother. True indeed. We're talking about drugs in the community, the war on drugs. If you want to chime in, just press 1. We'll put you right on. We got my brother K-Dub. We got our brother Fred. Myself, brother Afrikanus. You know what? We do want to get into some other topics since we do got some time left. Go ahead, brother K-Dub.
We just wanted to, bring awareness to, I'm pretty sure, those are listening to us right now, know that there's a situation going on in Houston, man, where Houston is pretty much submerged. It's Katrina all over again, but it's not getting any nowhere type of news coverage. The only way we're finding out is the good old social media. You even seen one point where a newscaster had to save some old dude. This is not funny. I'm chuckling, but that's not funny. Old dude, he pretty much damn near drowned in his car. He got stuck in a puddle, and then I don't know, man. He just submerged and pretty much damn near died on camera, man. But but the most areas that is affected in Houston, of course, is our communities, because Houston is a port city like New Orleans. It's very low level, sea level, and a lot of our areas happen to be in the lower levels and underwater, man. So just wanted to bring awareness to what's going on in Houston. Everybody wants to say pray for Paris and Belgium and all that. No, man. Pray for Houston, man. Our brothers and sisters need help out there.
Yeah, we don't give a damn about no Paris, France, Europe, and none of that. But our brothers and sisters right here in America and over on the continent, we definitely care about you. And, anywhere where we could show support or help or outreach, we'll definitely do that. Like I said, I don't really have too many contacts in the Houston area. But if you are listening on our show, please leave a message on our dashboard, on our blog talk, or find us on Facebook, Brother Afrikanus, Brother K-Dub, Brother Akil, and we'll definitely reach out to you and try to network to get you the proper resources that you need, funds, whatever. It was a beautiful campaign. Brothers organized all over the country, really. You could say, to send waters to Flint. Nobody sat on any butts and waited for companies like Polar Spring or whatever to make a move. Brothers made moves. So, and I appreciate if anybody who's listening in the Houston area, please let us know. Just make sure everybody's all right. I mean, I've seen that too. I've seen people flipping over refrigerators and converting anything they could to turn into a boat. So what type of water they're working with. If they can flip over a refrigerator and put people in it and use that as a boat. So, like I said, hopefully, somebody who's in the Houston area, definitely reach out to us and let us know what's going on so we can help our people get some resources out there for help and aid.
But then, here's a question. How come, why is it that, the National Guard isn't going out there, helping these people? They're still underwater, man. I think the rains have stopped, if I'm correct. The rains have stopped.
Yeah,
the rain stopped, but they're still pretty much submerged. You feel me? And it's like, listen, man. And another thing too, I'm pretty sure a lot of these people do not have flood insurance for their respective homes. Some are probably even renters. So they lost everything. Everything is lost in their home, man. So I'm just wondering why isn't our great nation, so-called great nation, is not sending out the resources to help these people? Why do we have delayed responses? But in Ecuador, you had an earthquake, yet we were always quick to send people over there and send food and all that good stuff. Or, anything that happens in our backyard, I don't know, man. It's like, I don't know, either we go to sleep or we turn the other way, or we just don't give a fuck.
Number 3. Number 3, John. We don't exist. We don't exist. If it was in Idaho, it'd be all over the news.
Yeah.
We have no value.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably looking at, hey, okay, Eric, no, this is my pessimism. You get these areas flooded out. Now let's look at the issue that was talked on one of your previous shows. Gentrification. Hey, flooded out. We were looking at the area anyway. Why help them? Get them out of there. Put them in temporary homes. Put some Red Cross. Give them some blankets. All right, water rescinds. All right, let's fix these homes back. Oh, you know what? Forget the homes. Let's build some condos up. We've been looking at this territory for a while anyway. Mother Nature did us a favor.
That's an excellent. That's an excellent point. Brother Fred just brought up. Sometimes it's like you're basically helping them out. They were looking at that. They want to put Walmarts there, change mall strips, stadiums. So what better way than to flood the poor black folk out? I can only imagine what they really have from Flint, areas of Detroit, and definitely want to commend the efforts of everybody in the new era Detroit and their efforts to take back their city. I respect it, and I hope, and also new era Chicago. Brothers are definitely putting in work out there, and they building, they're unifying out there for a cause, because they're not going to let special interests and big business just coming in and purposely lobby through the politicians to basically destabilize and even dehumanize their areas and restrict them from getting the proper resources, so it just be so easy for them. Because these people come with not just 10, not even 20. They come in with 30, 40, 50 pre-year planned agendas, things they do out methodically. It's crazy, but they do it. So whatever they have planned for Detroit, they planned this 20, 25 years ago. And they probably just want to unravel it now. So whatever's going on in Houston, for them, for act of nature like that, all that rain, like you said, we're not human to them. So when you're not human to somebody, they don't care. I mean, that's clearly evident. Most white folks love their dog before they love a black life. Look at what just happened with that Asian cop that killed that black brother. He was, dead to rights wrong. Dead to rights wrong. And that brother, that man got off. That brother was dead.
Oh man, you bring that situation up, and I want to let everybody know who's unaware, or if they forgot. We're talking about Officer Peter Lang or Lying. I can't pronounce it. He's Asian. Chinese. He's a Ho Chi Minh. He's a Charlie Chan. He's Chinese American, and he was a rookie cop for the NYPD. And he was, I guess, patrolling his a complex or project, whatever, in Brooklyn, going up a stairway. Akai Gurley was walking down the stairway. Peter Lane supposedly, apparently got startled and pulled out his gun and shot Akai Gurley. Now, he shot him. The guy was unarmed. Peter Lane was afraid of getting disciplinary action because he's a rookie. He refused to call EMTs for at least a half an hour. So pretty much Akai Gurley bled to death. So, whatever. Make a long story short, fast forward, he got charged with manslaughter. But he made his defense saying that, I was startled, I accidentally shoot him. But then here's the thing. It's not an accident if you didn't call help for half an hour. You literally let the man bleed to death. So you intentionally let him die. All right, now, jury convicts the man of manslaughter. Oh, his community, the Asian community, are so upset because, he supposedly was a scapegoat. No, whatever. He was a scapegoat of police brutality or police shooting. So they went out in numbers and protested, saying that he does not deserve jail time because his intent was not to kill this man. Okay? His intent was not to kill this man, and he's being used as a scapegoat, saying that, or if he's going to be convicted of, police brutality and shooting, then why don't you hold the other white cops accountable? All right. The pressure got on the DA. His name is Ken Thompson. Unfortunately, Ken Thompson is a black man in Brooklyn DA, district attorney in Brooklyn. The pressure got put on him, and guess what? He recommended no jail time for this officer. So his sentencing came about. He accepted the recommended sentencing, which he ended up getting, if I'm correct, 5 years probation, 6 months house arrest, and 8,000 hours of community service. So he got a slap on the wrist for
800.
Oh, it's 800. Oh,
yes.
800 hours of community service. A slap on the wrist, and a travesty of the justice system, a very travesty of the justice system. And it's just sad that the brother, the district attorney, who's supposedly hard on crime, who's supposedly hard on any type of crime, would let this slide and recommend this. But, I guess he got his golden butter biscuit, and he's going to be on his way to a higher promotion because, he is a district attorney, and then those type of guys in those fields, they have their self-interest. So if they have to hurt their own community, they will. And that's what we have going on here, people. It's a damn blasted shame. That's all I could say.
Well, we gotta go back and pay attention to the words again. When we talked about drugs earlier, you got a black man on crack, you got a white man on heroin. Who is committing the crime? We are. So when they say this district attorney who's black, one, you already just told me he's useless. He has no power.
Useless. Useless.
And then you tell me he's hard. Then you say he's hard on crime. When you say hard on crime, we, quote unquote, in the eyes of the media, in the eyes of the country, we are the criminals. So when they say hard on crime, who are they hard on?
Us.
He was wrong for making them shoot him. He was wrong. Look at you. Were wrong for making him.
He scared him. You made
him scared of you.
That's what they call you a spook.
That's what they call you a spook.
Oh my God.
He spooked me. I had to shoot him.
He spooked me into shooting his black ass, and I did. And
I don't know karate. I don't know karate.
I'm not Bruce Lee. I'm not Bruce Lee.
I didn't watch Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I missed that. He came out of the shadows.
I ain't Chow Young Fat.
Yeah, he is Chow Young Fat. Chow Young Fat uses guns.
How about that? So that's
you got 800 hours of community service. What community is he going to service? Chinatown?
Probably. He's going to be cutting up dog and serving it as chicken wings. Who knows?
And you want to know what else? A fool like him will still get to be a cop in the near future in another town. He'll be a cop in some small little town, like a little suburb.
He's moving to California. He's moving to California.
We're Chinatown, where the big Chinatown is, and he could be a cop over there.
Right.
Same name and everything. Same name, exactly. So, these cops, there's actually been instances where cops have been fired and actually jailed and got out and got to be a cop again. They went and still became a cop. So what we have to understand is, like the brother Fred said, we are inhuman to them. 3/5 of the man, whatever you want to call it. We not on their level. Until you consider a human being to them. Forget about these Negroes still running around here worrying about being American. That's one of the main problems with Negroes. You want to run around here with red tops on your head and tassels and everything. Still want to run around here talking about sovereignty. You're not even a human being to these barbaric devils. They don't even consider you upright human beings, walking on your own 2 feet and upright. They rate you less than an animal walking on all fours. But you worrying about here running around talking about sovereignty, and you from Mexico, and you American and indigenous. You ain't even got dog rights. You understand what I'm saying? You still don't even have animal rights. You are considered to be even humane to these people. You will never be respected. So we got to get that straight first. That's what we need to be worried about. We have to worry about being humans first. We got to get recognized as that.
Correct.
Go ahead, brother. K-Dub.
No, I was saying correct. And another thing too is, I'm just gonna say this. You see how the Asian community came in full force and supported his brother. Well, instead of us, we need to do that. We need to actually do that and stop trying to convince these people, as you said, to convince these people that we're humans. You feel me? Until we stand up on our own 2 feet and make our own noise and not sing kumbaya and say, you know, love has no color and all that crap. Until we, you know, fight fire with fire, we are not gonna we're gonna continue to see this. You know, we're gonna be incarcerated for petty drugs at a high rate. We're gonna get shot down by police and rent-a-cops. We're gonna continue to get discrimination from people who don't want our business anyway, but we continue to flock over there. You know, all this stuff. You need to just take that stupid loving mindset out and get back to the laws of nature that we were originally intended with. You know, but yeah.
No, it goes back to this too. But when we talk about, we have Brother Woodall on talking about the having black business, establishing black business, taking control of our own economy, creating our own economy. It's not because of the Chinese people. It's about money. You got China with the U.S. in its back pocket. We owe so much money to China, it's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not we, but America does.
America, yes. The country itself, yes.
Right. So you look at Chinatown. That's a big tourist spot in New York City. A lot of money, not the economy. Drugs flowing through there, too. They don't want to talk about that. So Chinese people come through here and say, hey, let them go. We already got you in the pocket. We got half of your money in the city. They showed power. They showed their hand, gave that dude 800 community hours. We show up, what we got? What we do? We burn shit down. Excuse the language. But Chinese say, hey, we got your money. What you going to do now? You got this Negro in office with no power. Get him out the way. Chinatown. Watch what we going to do to you if you put him in jail. That's what they said. Of course, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't help either that the judge was Asian too. I forgot to mention that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, the judge was Asian. So there you go. You be the judge.
It goes back to the black community. If we had money, if we ran our businesses right, supported our own community, put our own dollars back into us, we will have the power we need. But they know that. That's why they keep drugs in the community. We're giving them our money for these drugs.
And we remain powerless.
Powerless.
We remain powerless. We're the Raising Awareness group, and we're talking about the war on drugs in black communities, and also we're sounding off on current events. We're going to take another caller here. Area code 989. You're live with the Raising Awareness group.
Oh, yeah. I'm online? I'm on?
Yes, brothers.
Hello. Okay, yeah. I just called in. I just saw about it, so I missed like everything that had been said previously to like right now. But I just wanted to ask like how y'all feel about this Harriet Tubman thing on the Queen bill. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I've been seeing like a lot of people posting that they're supposed to be putting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill?
Yeah, brother. Yeah. Go ahead. You got it.
Okay,
so I'm
Brother
just
Fred,
asking,
you want to take that? Thoughts? You got any thoughts on that?
All right, here's my thought. All right, they are trying to go to a cashless society anyway. So I'm looking at the fact that, okay, there are, of course, the white people who are mad. They see this black face. I've already seen posts where people saying, oh, I'm going to use 5 and 10s. I'm not going to use this 20. I'm not going to do that. This will force people to use less cash, especially the white people. That's how I see part of that. So when you're trying to go to a cashless society, the dollar bill will be irrelevant in the next 30 years, in my opinion. Then I come back and hear the backside of the dollar bill, the 20 going to be Andrew Jackson. They are sending us a message in that. It's a message in there. I don't feel good about it. So go ahead.
And you know what, to add on to that, and exactly well put what the brother Fred just said to the brother. Oh, first of all, brother, where are you calling from? Just to ask.
Oh, I'm calling from out of Michigan.
Okay, awesome. Okay, are you in the Flint area? Because we're doing our follow-up the Flint show next week, just to let you know.
I'm close by. I'm about like 20 minutes away from Flint.
Okay, awesome. I hope you chime in next week too. But to go even further with what the brother Fred said was, let's look at what slavery times. What was the economics? Cash money wasn't the actual currency, and I just said this earlier about that. When you go back into slavery times, what was the currency? We had tobacco, we had sugar, we had gold, brass, silver, cotton. So raw materials were still the basis of currency in America. So what we have to understand is, what would they really would like for us to do? Go right back to those same type of currency institutions and actually implement slavery all over again. So going to a cashless-based economy, what's the best way to do it? Start to get you being turned off by it. That's they're giving you signals of what they want to do. The brother just said it, and I was on that post too. I read it. You had a lot of white folks, I'll only be having 5, 50, 10. That's how it starts. And then, of course, you're going to have your Sambos running around like Ben Carson, who's going to say, they should have just put it on the $2 bill, because that's one of the most useless bills that's pretty much the most useless bill in our currency structure.
Well, it's not in circulation.
It would be so easy. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, I was saying that the $2 bill is not even in circulation. So I mean,
no, it's not.
Well, it's one other coin that we tend to forget too. You can actually go to the post office to get this coin. Don't forget the $20 gold coin. I think Betsy Ross is on that coin or whatever. That's almost as irrelevant as the $2 bill. Now, another aspect, going back to slavery, like Brother Afrikan was talking about, in the South with the slavery system, we were the currency. We were the economy. The slave was. When the South failed, they failed because slavery ended. Thomas Jefferson, his value depended on how many slaves he had. We were the currency. We were the gold in the South. That's why the Civil War was fought. So when I see Harriet Tubman on that dollar bill, that's why I see that too. That's giving me a picture of we were the currency. Are they trying to get us back to that, to make us the driving force of the country, enslaving us some kind of way? So that's my 2 cents on it.
I mean, not to take, and what the brother was calling, not to take away from the honor that it could be taken as. Hopefully, it could stimulate black children to be motivated to learn real history. It will be a sight to see a black face on U.S. currency dollars, but there's always going to be backlash to any situation. If we could get, if that, should that be taken as a way to get people motivated to learn and read books and get some type of inspiration to be something, I would actually be more so inspired to know who the woman was instead of just her being plastered over the money. Because when we look at the money, the faces of the money, they were all vicious, rapists, and slave owners. And they were honored by putting them on money, on currency. So when you look at the person behind the picture, that's the key thing. Learn about who the person was behind the picture. Learn who Harriet Tubman was and what she did. That's the key. And can we get someone else? Can we resurrect someone or motivate or inspire someone to be just like her, a revolutionary to our people? That's the key thing, you know. Not to just to say, oh, we got Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill and toot our horns about we got a black female, or, you know, a black person on the bill. What about you with the person? What did she do to earn to get the right to be on that bill? Why did they choose her to be on that bill? You know, what was her impact on our society and the revolution of black people? I think that's more the key.
How do you feel, brother?
Oh man, I don't know. In a way, it's kind of disrespectful because, like, what I've been seeing like a lot of black people like really, really happy. Like, in a way, I think it's disrespectful because it's not gonna do nothing. Like, it's not gonna change. It's not gonna change our condition. You know that we're in. Like, I mean, like, I want to see something more concrete be done, you know, by the U.S. government. Like, just, you know, I don't know, brother. It's just, I don't know.
I feel your sentiments exactly, man. Because it's like, here's the problem with us as a people, man, and a lot of us, a majority of us, we get played on our emotions. So right now, I'm putting on a $20 bill. Right now, I'm putting on a $20 bill. It's playing with our emotions, especially our women. So they're not looking at, you know, like the bigger picture. They're just like, oh man, I'm happy they're putting a black woman on $20 bill. Ooh, we done, you know, they're playing with their emotions. So I feel you. I got mixed feelings on that. Yeah, but like what Afrikan said earlier, you know, I hope it would stimulate, you know, at least the younger generation. Because I mean, let's just keep it real. Some of our people our age and up, man, they're far too gone, man. So it ain't even worth trying to help them in some cases. So hopefully, you know, the younger generation could, you know, be like, damn, you know, who was this lady? What did she really do? You know what I'm saying? And hopefully when they research her, they can see that, you know, she was a take no shit woman. You know what I'm saying? This is what I get from her. She was a take no shit woman, and hey, man, she even had to kill her husband or shoot her husband or boyfriend, whoever it was, because he was about to drop dime on her for, you know, getting some of our people out of the conditions that they were enduring during them times. So, you know, I hope that would happen, you know, and another thing is that we would stop just settling for emotional crumbs, as I would put it. So, settling for emotional crumbs and accept concrete facts. Yeah, you know, so that's my take on it. I mean, honestly, $20 bill ain't gonna do shit. It ain't what it was gonna do. She's just on the $20 note. You're gonna spend it and you're gonna get change back. That's it.
That's right. You're going to give it right back to the white man.
So how about let's have our own bank, our own centralized bank to put that note in. That's the key thing. Make sure you spend that same $20 bill into the hands of a black hand. You know, make sure that money gets flipped 5, 6, 7 times into a black person's hands. That's how we do co-op in economics. That's how we build. That's the key. And I don't care if it's her bill or Thomas Jefferson, whoever else, Benjamin Franklin, whoever. All of those bills stay in black hands. That's the key. That's the key about about economics with us. We got to keep our money within our hands and show support and keep our black businesses going and co-op that way. That's the impact, you know, that we need as a community.
Like, is this like a regularly scheduled show?
Well,
man.
Brother, we actually air. Oh, go ahead, Keita. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, brother, we air every Wednesday from 8 to 10. We talk about different topics, always that's you know, affecting our community. You know, like we're very diverse, man. So you know, chime with us next week. And next week we're doing the follow-up show to Flint. We did one a couple of weeks ago, and we're doing a follow-up on to Flint. And as I just read earlier, that the Michigan State has decided to charge 3 people, some water workers, with the crisis that's going on in Flint. But they're going after the small fish when they should be going after the governor. But I mean, we'll discuss that next week when we do the follow up to the show, man. So we're pressed for time, but hey, man, I appreciate you calling in, man, and asking that question for that dialogue, man. And man, chime in next week, man. And
okay, no doubt.
All right, brother.
Also,
so, yeah,
I'd like to add in. Let me add into. We are going to start having our official book reading show here at the Raising Awareness Group, right on the Blog Talk team. Our sisters, we got some awesome sisters on our team, and we're all about homeschooling. That's our main directive with our group. Straight from our elder and our council of elders, we're about to start a weekly book reading show just for the kids, for the family, of recommended books. We're going to give more details about that probably starting next week or when the first show will air. So definitely want everybody to stay tuned about it. Definitely tune in for our upcoming Blog Talk book reading show with some of our awesome sisters of the Raising Awareness Group. Definitely happy to get that started. We'll give more detail, like I said, next week on it, but definitely stay tuned in for that.
Sure. And as I close it out, I'd like to give a shout out to all of the Raising Awareness Group members, and myself, Afrikan, our brother Akil, for walking behind the scenes with the switchboard, our elder Mku Mz, brother Kufu Mental Hotep, sister D Brown, sister Nubian Kandaka, and brother Black Panther. We do this every week, man. We're putting in work, man, and we're trying to make a difference to our community. But chime in next week with us. We'll do our follow-up show to Flint, and tune in. We'll same black time, same black channel. We're going to try and make Black America great again. Peace and love, family. One.
That's right. Peace.
Oh, and I also like to give a shout out to our brother Fred, man. Always enjoy you on the panel, man.
Thanks, brother. Peace. Hotel.
Peace, family.